So this is 7-3 part 2. You have a diagram given here. This is just extra work with the special triangles. I kind of alluded to this last time without straight saying it. The special triangles usually appear as part of larger shapes. One of the reasons that they're important. I talked specifically about this. The 30, 60, 90 tends to be part of an equilateral triangle. So I have an equilateral triangle here. It says show how it can be split into two 30, 60, 90 triangles. So to get it into two 30, 60, 90 triangles, all I have to do is split it down the middle. When I split it right down the middle, right, so that this is 5 and this is 5, up here is a 30 degree, and over on the bottom corners are 60 degrees. Find the height of the triangle with work shown for how to find it. So what they're asking me for is what is the height of this triangle? Well, notice I have a special triangle right here. And it's a special 30-60. This is 10 and this is 5, which should also make sense, right? The short side is half the hypotenuse, and I am asking for the long leg. They gave me the short leg, so that's what I'm going to start with. To get to the long leg, I multiply by root 3. So 5 times root 3 equals 5 root 3. So the height is 5 root 3. Once again, you could type that in your calculator and get a decimal. I'm mostly just too lazy. It doesn't tell me I need a decimal, so I'm not going to find one. I'm going to do it in my head. So there's number 1 on 7-3 part 2. For the second problem, they give us a trapezoid, and they say that you need to cut it into a triangle and a rectangle. So I'm going to cut off the triangle right here. They said to make this a rectangle, and if this is 45 and this is 90 degrees, this has to be 45. So I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle and a rectangle. I'm going to use the shown information to find the height and the bottom length of the trapezoid. I'm going to label them in the diagram and show the work for how I found them. On this, at first I'm going to look to see if there's any other lengths that I know based on what they've given me. And what I can see is that if the top of a rectangle is 5, the bottom of the rectangle must also be 5. That should make sense, but I do need to be careful because the 5 is not the entire bottom of the trapezoid. The 5 is just this section at the bottom. So the top is 5, the bottom's 5. I know that. There's no other little things I know. So now I'm going to look at the triangle itself. It's 45, 45, 90. I know the hypotenuse. I need to know the legs. If I solve it, I need to find those other lengths. So the hypotenuse is 2 root 2. If I am going from the hypotenuse to the leg in a 45, 45, 90, I need to divide by root 2. So 2 root 2 divided by root 2 is just a regular 2. And a 45, 45, 90, both of the legs are the same. So both of these sections, the one going up and down the height line and the little bottom of the triangle, must be 2. And then using the same reasoning before with this rectangle, if I have a 2 right here, this has to be 2 as well, because those have to be the same. That kind of gives me all of my different things. So then I go back and I figure out what they actually asked me for. They asked me for the height, which is 2, and they asked me for the bottom. If I look at the bottom of the trapezoid, I need to go all the way across. It is 7. So I take the 5 and I add the 2 to it. This and this, I add them together to get the bottom, which comes out at 7. For other notes, I just have some general tips on solving these problems. If they don't, even when they give it to you, it usually helps to draw a big diagram. These are tips. Draw a big diagram so that you can write all over it. It helps with the problems. You have to draw on the triangle. And you need to realize, is it 45, 45, 90? Or 30, 60, 90? Or sometimes you might have one of each in the same picture. But you want it to specifically be a triangle. Look for sides that you can figure out. Because they are the same as another side. On that rectangle, if the top was 5 of the rectangle, the bottom have to be 5 of the rectangle. That's important. You're looking for any sides that you can figure out because they are the same as another. You are going to want to obviously solve the triangle. Another thing I wanted to point out, we didn't do it on this one. Here, to get the total length, sorry, I forgot the total length. We did 5 plus 2 equals 7. Sometimes they'll give you the 7 and you have to get back down to the 5. Just note that sometimes you'll have to subtract to find some information. So I'm just going to go back to 3. Sometimes you're going to have to add things. And then I would say for number 5, repeat 3, step 3, if needed. Sometimes you have to solve the triangle before you can look for sides that are the same. And number 6, make sure you answered the question. And that is it for 7-3, Part 2.